We're live. Get some people in here. And if you're watching replay, fast forward. Glass has got the glare on it. See what we can do about it. TJ, what's up? Holman Chimera, $1.80. Oh, we got something to talk about. Hey, and it's actual trucking content. Can you get that? Can you dig that? Right? Right? Oh, we got some people in here. I do need to get to work, Scott. I got a couple hours before I leave out of here. I've got an easy run to Columbus. Doesn't deliver till Wednesday, coming from Joplin. So I'll leave out of here about probably an hour from now. So we're only going to keep this live feed about an hour. Elizabeth McCarthy, how's it going? Anybody say something about coffee? Let's get some coffee, shall we? We're gonna talk about something. All righty. Actual trucking content. What's up? All right. So I just read the stupidest thing on Facebook I've seen in a while. Now, this is on the trucking rates and lanes. I follow trucking rates and lanes, and I also follow rate per mile masters, and I also follow new owner operators, and I also follow owner operators maintenance and repair, and then a couple of Snyder pages, and still a Landstar page, the one that they don't kick out of if you're not a BCO. But this guy asked the question, should the government make a minimum rate for the trucking industry? Can you believe that? I'll say it again. Should the government, okay, it's right there. It's a guy named Richie Respect. Kind of a troll name, I guess. He's actually asked, should the government make a minimum rate for the trucking industry? And I have heard this not just today, but several times. I've also heard people say that brokers should only be allowed to take a certain percentage, right? And number one, what is the biggest complaint in everybody that drives a truck, whether you're a company owner operator? Regulations, right? Who develops these regulations? The government. So do you seriously want the government regulating how much money you can or cannot make? You see, that is entitlement there. That is entitlement. And what people don't realize is that, it's kind of like the minimum wage thing. If you raise minimum wage, all that does is give the corporations more money. Here's how that happens. If you raise the minimum wage to, say, $15 an hour, what happens? They got to charge you more for the stuff. So where does that money go? It goes to the person owning the stuff, right? Now, the problem that we have out here is that there's a lot of people that are owner operators that have an entitlement mentality to them. And by wanting a minimum rate per mile, all that's going to do is make everybody else set their prices to that number. Hey, it gets the minimum. And then all the other private sectors like truck repair shops and fuel and parts vendors and everything else, they will adjust to that minimum rate, knowing that you could easily pay that, just like minimum wage. And here's what a lot of people don't realize when they start a business, okay? if you start a business, let's say you start a deli, right? You got your building, you got your cooler, you got your meat supplier, you got your one employee, or maybe you do it yourself. Maybe you don't need to pay an employee. You do it yourself, right? Small little shop in a strip mall somewhere in good old USA, right? Let's say no one comes in your shop. What do? Let's say you have 20 people on Friday, but then 100 people on Saturday, but 50 people on Monday. That's the part of owning a business. Now, I'll get to the comments here in a second. There are slow times and there are good times. There are times when you're going to barely keep that shop open, and there are times when you'll be able to go out and replace the cooler when it turns, when it shuts down, or be able to handle the increase in rent, or or a situation like that. That is part of owning a business, and people don't get that. So those of you who are out there as an owner operator that want a minimum rate per mile, leave. Adios. You don't understand how capitalism works. You don't understand how running a business works. You do a profit and loss, and you make your adjustments, and you educate yourself how to adjust to those adjustments. Why do I not open up a deli inside the city on a strip mall somewhere? Because I know that it won't support my family, or at least I don't know how it could support my family. See, that's the difference. How many of these strip mall businesses do you see go in and out of business all the time? People feel like they're entitled, and you're not. America is a free place, but it doesn't mean everything's given to you for free. And if you feel you need a minimum rate, you have to look at why do you feel you need a minimum rate. If you feel that you need $1.50 a mile, lowest, minimum, then that's what you negotiate, right? That's what you negotiate. You shoot for two and know that you can settle for $1.50 if needed. There's your minimum rate. Find out what rate drives your business. Find out what rate makes the money for you. Find out what you need. And to create a minimum rate, well, what if that minimum rate is $1.50? And boom, that's what every broker is going to put it at. Well, we're doing the legal limit of $1.50, take it or leave it, right? But what if your costs are $1.51? What if your costs are $1.55? What are you going to do? Now, a minimum rate for a company driver, it kind of goes with the same thing. A lot of states are passing minimum wage laws. I saw Trucker Bandit talking about Wisconsin. Arkansas is doing it. I think California does it. That's on the company side. And so what the company can do is they can make adjustments to that. How can we run more efficiently to where we're not wasting this driver's time because we're having to pay him a minimum of such and such an hour, right? And some local jobs like hauling fuel, they do it by the load still. You get 20% of the load, so each load is say 100 something blah 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 dollars, and as long as you're averaging so much a day, you can break that down by the hour, divide it by 14, because that's the legal government implemented legal limit that you can drive is 14 hours. And then divide it by that, boom, there's your minimum wage. All right, Scott, I'll talk to you later today. But these kind of comments, these kind of like everybody just tearing this dude apart. and rightfully so. I mean, I can't. If you're doing loads lower than the rate that you can survive off of, just like if you own the deli and the customers coming in isn't paying after cost and everything, is not paying the bills that you need it to pay, then you have to make adjustments. Now it's a deli and a something else. You add something else to the menu, right? You make adjustments. You educate yourself. Well, I'm paying this much for my supplies. Well, maybe I can go to this distributor and pay a little bit lower, as long as I don't lose quality. Or maybe I can lower my cost on this, or maybe I can move to a cheaper strip mall. And do you get what I'm saying here? Trucking is no different, guys. Trucking is no different. You have to make adjustments. If you're sitting there in your deli, you're like, man, no one's coming in here. You think the government should give you a certain amount of money that you would get if 50 people came in there? That's called socialism, people. Are you a socialist? Falcon went out of business, not only because of how they were running their business, but also, I mean, the contracts, but they were inefficient. They were wasting a lot of time, a lot of money, and it purged them. And guys, I'm going to say this again. I said it in a community post, and I've said it to my friends. 2017, the beginning, the first quarter, $1.45 a mile on the spot market, average that rate. Let's do some math. $1.40, 45 times 0.8. That's $1.16 if you're making 80%. Let's look at you Landstar guys, you Schneider guys making 65%. 1.45 times 0.65, that's 94 cents a mile. Can you survive off 94 cents a mile? Can you figure out how? See, that's the thing. Can you figure out how to survive off 94 cents a mile? What do you do? Well, 65% is not going to work for me, so I need to move to a carrier where I'm getting 80, or become my own carrier and get 100. So if 80% is not good enough for you, you go get your own authority. And then you got to deal with some additional costs, but hopefully it kind of counterbalances everything, right? But then you got you're the lowest man on the totem pole, especially when it comes to these brokers. So if you're relying on brokered freight with your own authority, then there are some hurdles that you got to go through. That's called running a business. That's what it's all about. And it's no different. See, that's the thing. It's no different than running a business from home, or running a business from a strip mall, running an online business. You have costs and you have ups and downs. If you look at any chart, whether it's DAT, Sonar, 1, 2, 3, look at the trends. What does it do? It's a roller coaster. And the longer you can ride a gravy train, the better. But it can also make you weak. It can also make you, like, if you run, like I know guys at Schneider, myself included, did this. You find 2 runs and you do them all the time. Every single, man, you're making money hand over fist, and this is a gravy run, you're going to do it. And all of a sudden it disappears. Well, now your skill set of running off the load board, the click and go, whatever, now it's not there, because you relied heavily on this one egg in one basket, And there are magazines, there are websites, there are articles about every faction of every business out there. I was sitting there at the shop at Goodyear getting my brake chamber put on, and there were magazines about people that own shops. You got magazines of people that own bakeries. You got magazines, and all these things can help educate you for whatever business that you're in. And and if the volatility of the spot market isn't working for you, then you adjust that. How do you make that work? How can you make that right? You know, there was somebody that was talking about wanting to go local or do more local stuff as an owner operator, right? And the cost of the truck makes it kind of hard to do that. So natural answer would be to get the costs lowered, right? If you're having trouble surviving with the current rates as they are, you don't want the brokers to have the government tell them what a minimum rate is. You don't want that minimum rate. You need to adjust your level to where you can survive on the lowest of the roller coaster downturns and everything. See, here's what happened in 2017. 2017, we're all at GATS, right? And they're talking about a hurricane that was coming up through Houston, and that it was actually going to hit tropical storm level, like southern parts of the Dallas area. So it was all on our minds. And that was the same year that there was 3 hurricanes in a row. There were some funny memes from the movie The Day After Tomorrow that was like, it was like, showed some similarities, right? And that created such a whirlwind of capacity that the rates just started going up and up and up and up. And then the ELD mandate was the icing on the cake, right? So many people, myself included, that are in the spot market didn't deal with the lowest. So what we think is low was actually the norm, right? And I knew that if I wanted to work the spot market, I would have to keep my costs low. So I was kind of nervous about buying a new trailer, but I did the numbers. Okay, I can make this work, right? Because if you add my truck and trailer together, it's still only $300 higher than what I was doing at Schneider, 65% with my Peterbilt, which truck only, right? When it came to my expenses. My insurance is about the same. The only additional expenses I have that I didn't have at Schneider are, well, the trailer payment, of course. My insurance is about the same. Low boards, that's about $80 a month. I pay for that, and I pay for 123. And I don't have any other monthly subscriptions that I haven't had before the spot market. And if I have to, I can cut the fat on the low boards. If I have to, I can cut the fat on a couple other things, right? I can get rid of my Sirius XM. I can reduce my home bills a little bit, right? I'm not going out and buying the new Ford F-150 like I want to get. And and there's money that's saved for the house for if I have a situation where I can't even make my truck payment. So now, is there a lot of meat on the bone for repairs right now? No. But I have plans B and C in place for that. So you have to have plans B and C. Keep your costs low. That's how you run a deli in the strip mall. That's how you run a restaurant. That's how you run say a retail store, but that's also how you run a trucking business. And the most successful people that I know in this industry, Jeffrey Light, Shane Ferris, Scott, SRO Logistics. There's countless others. Yeti, he's doing well. They are business minded. They all have their history in other businesses. And it's the mindset of running a business. You can't have minimum rates. Now, it's just like if you want the government to regulate how much the brokers can take. Well, the brokers can run around and do the same thing. If they go, hey, if your truck cost is $1.20 a mile, Well, I think you're price gouging me if you're asking for $2. I want the government to step in to make sure that you're not getting more than what you need to run with. That would tick a lot of you off. And a lot of you watching this video hating on me, a lot of you hate the ELD. Oh, look what the ELD's done. It's a mandate. It's a government mandate. Government. Okay? Government mandate. Guess what? A minimum rate would be a government mandate. A maximum rate would be a government mandate. If they're not regulating insurance companies, pharmaceutical companies, and all that, I mean, they don't give a, almost cursed, they don't give a rat's butt about us, right? That is not what America stands for. And you got to, now there's some corporatists, that's capitalism bastardized, right? Corporatism is bad. When you got corporations that just take over everything, giving no leniency to the little guy, right? But imposing a minimum rate, that's socialism. And if you can't run your deli with the Lowe's, if you can't run your restaurant with the Lowe's, if you can't run your truck with the Lowe's, then you have to figure out how and why. So to the person that posted this on Facebook, all you're doing is adding to the negativity of these pages. There's some good content on these Facebook pages, but there's too much negativity as well, and you're seeing it in droves to a level I've never seen before. So between that and all the YouTubers being off topic, sometimes, like Jay Cannell has said, you got to step away from the social media, because now what I look for is the comments in this post, right? And there's some smart comments and there's some bad comments. But free market capitalism. Let's say you sell fruit and vegetables in a little stand in the middle of Long Island, right? And the government says that you can only make a certain amount of money. Or the other vegetable vendors have to impose, hey, you can't sell your bananas lower than me. See, I've dealt with that before. Whenever my band would open up for a larger name band, a signed band, right? There were some touring packages that if you sold merchandise, that you could not sell it lower than what they were selling theirs for. In other words, if I had apnea t-shirts, and we normally sold ours for $10 to $12, but the touring band is selling them for $20. Well, it was in the contract that if I wanted to sell merchandise for my band, it had to be at $20 as well. And as much as I liked my band, as much as our band was liked by other people, I don't think there was too many people that if they're looking at a signed band shirt, say like Metallica or something, versus my shirt, they're going to pay $20. If they only got $20, they're going to buy the merch from the touring band. So there were times that we didn't even sell merch because we were not going to be told what we can or cannot price our stuff at. And it's the same thing. And the touring bands, they're able to order hundreds upon hundreds of shirts at a time where the cost for each shirt is lower. So, for me, I was paying like probably $6 a shirt or $8 a shirt, and turn around and sell it for 10 or 12, depending on how many designs we had or whatever. Whereas the touring band, they're getting them $2 or $3 on for every shirt. And same thing with CDs. It cost me 45 cents a copy to make a CD. Whereas if I had bought 1,000 of them, they would have been lower. They would have been like 20. Oh, maybe it was $1.45. I can't remember, but I could have gotten them down to $1 a copy had I ordered like 500. But I knew I wouldn't sell 500, right? So that's how business works. Whether you sell shirts or you sell miles, that's how it works. And if you're in this business expecting people to hand you anything, you're in the wrong business. You shouldn't be in business altogether, because I don't want the government telling me how much I can or cannot make. Now, as a minimum wage employee, what happens when they raise the minimum wage? Everything else goes up, right? So the ratio is changed, not in your favor. Hey, let's make minimum wage for like McDonald's workers. Well, what happened? They got kiosks now that can take your order, right? And they can hire half the cooking staff now. They can hire half the staff because they don't need people at the registers. You want a minimum rate per mile? That's a good way. That's a good way to get autonomous trucks. They're way in, right? Everybody's all worried about autonomous trucks, but yet they want the government to step in and tell us how much you can or cannot make. Yeah, go ahead. Have the government tell you what you can or can't make. And then watch those autonomous trucks roll in. What's going to happen? Stu Manchu says Falcon had all their eggs in one basket and tried to recover too late. They didn't look at the big picture, but they also ran inefficiency. Shane Ferris kind of pointed out in one of these posts. You have so much negativity out here, and I get it. A lot of people are struggling right now. They don't know what to do with these rates. They didn't look at the bigger picture. And Jeff called me on the blue yesterday. We were talking business a little bit, and and he complimented me how well I was doing. Yet when I look at my profit and loss, I could be doing better, right? I am doing better, and that was what the last weekend live feed was about. However, I would like to do more. So what can I do to make more? Well, I can negotiate better rates, and I'm getting better rates. I think I hit rock bottom on my rates in the middle of, the beginning of April. Second week of April was probably the worst week for me as far as rate per mile. But I made up for it in volume. And all these people that say, park your truck until the rates come up, please do. Park your truck until the rates come up. Because that is a mentality that says that it's kind of like, well, if I don't have at least 50 people coming into my deli this week, I'm not opening the doors. Yeah, I'm just gonna stay home. My deli's not doing good, so won't go to work today. Is that how you run a business? These are the things I think about when I see a post like this. All right, let's go to some comments here. We got a lot of comments here going on. All right. Get my old man glasses on here. Truckers Table, we should get free coffee, free fuel, free tires, free trucks. Yeah, free, right? There's opportunity for free things. And I know you're being sarcastic, Table. Um, I know people that do all their bills on credit cards, and then at the end of the month they pay them, right? And they amass. And what they did is they picked a credit card that has a good point system, right? And I've seen people make $400 or $500 payments towards their credit card just on points alone, or they get to fly overseas for free, that kind of point system. There's a way to make free things work. I was talking to 123 Low Board there at Matt's. I was like, why don't you have any Fat Man size shirts? And it was reminded to me that they're not selling them; they're giving away. They're free, right? So it costs them so much money to get the higher sizes. And I understood that. I was like, yeah, you're absolutely right. You are giving it for free. I guess you're not selling them. And I had to be reminding myself. New breed is going to be the death of our industry. Well, William Brown, my opinion on that is, how do we teach the new breed? If the new breed is the reason the industry is going downhill, then it was up to the elders to teach them. That's the problem. You have a lot of people criticizing other people on the advice they give or what they charge for advice, yet they're not giving good advice of their own. What are they teaching? And that's going to create some hate, but I don't care. If the new breeds that are coming in are failing, we have failed to teach them. We have failed to show them, hey, how about, oh, I don't run with my CB on. I don't even have one in my truck because there's just a bunch of trash talking. Well, what created that? People on the CB. I don't get on Facebook because it's too negative. Well, what created that? People being negative, right? DF and DPF systems now require next year truckers are going to riot the last 10 years. Yeah. When the industry put the HMG into place, that's where I believe the pay rates took positive. What's HMG? I heard one of the state passed a bill that CEO companies has to pay minimum wage. Yeah, but that's not for owner operators. Sorry, guys, I'm reading the comments here. Charles Anderson, learn general business and you can make it in this business, right? All businesses is the same, gross, net expenses, profit, and so on, right? Good morning, sir. Just stopped by to say hi. How's it going, Jason Perry? Negativity is part of life too. Too much positivity is insane. You're right, Virgo life. You're right, because you have to have it. You have to, you try to be somewhere in the middle. But here's the problem: each extreme is going more extreme, and it's harder to be in the middle. I'm not a positive person all the time. I've done some negative videos. I've done some, my Facebook memories reminds me of how negative I once was, right? And by the way, that's my broker emailing me, looking out for my next load. Look at the corn. The government pays so much for farmers to grow corn, so instead of growing something else, they live on government, and we pay more for other products that said farmers could grow. Exactly, Charles Anderson. Not only that, but they're pushing all the corn products that are unhealthy for us, turning the country into an unhealthy country. Consistency, consistency, consistency. Always come out ahead. Christopher Edward, right. I agree with that wholeheartedly. That's what Snyder did for me, and that's what I'm trying to create here in this market, in the spot market. Lisa, what's up? Not being sarcastic towards you, but towards all these liberals and millennials who think everything should be free. I know, Tabling. I know you weren't. I know your sarcasm. I read it. I'm a smart guy sometimes. That's what the old timer said about us, yet the industry is still here, right? Technology will be the death of the industry if anything kills it. Big Road, I disagree with that because there's a lot of aspects of this job that are easier for me now than they were 10 years ago. And a lot of it is technology based. You know, a lot of people give Uber and Convoy a bad rap. And now, while they do have some loads that are lower rates, they do have some loads that pay well. And it has all the information you need. You can make an educated decision on whether or not you can or cannot do that load based off the information they give you without one phone call. And I like that technology. And everything's so like detention's easy to prove, layover is easy to prove. To prove that you're there on time is easy to prove because of the tracking software. So the companies that were going to go forth from here, if they embrace technology, they will do well because that's going to be part of the game. It already is a part of the game. You just don't know it yet. You know, I laugh at these people that get on Facebook and talk about how they won't download MacroPoint on their phone because it tracks too much. Dude, you're on Facebook. You know? Even if you log into a laptop, it figures out where you're going from, you know? And I noticed that the drivers that struggle the most out here are the ones that aren't embracing technology, either due to lack of wanting to change or lack of not knowing what to change with. Yeah, Lisa, I am lying. You talk about autonomous tech. Right. Well, I mean, Jay Cannell said it once in one of his videos. If you are afraid of autonomous trucks, then do the stuff that autonomous trucks cannot do. The first ones they're going to replace is the steering wheel holders, you know, and this person will still be in the truck, right? So you'll still get paid for your time. And so that fear mongering is it's detrimental because here's what happens. So let's say a person like me, I'm afraid of an autonomous truck taking my job, you know, within the next 5 years. I'm going to look for a way out. And it's a lot easier to convince a younger person that the autonomous truck is good, right? Because they don't know how to adapt to that. They just know that as the norm, you know. So it's the other thing about business is you constantly have to adapt, you know, but you can adapt too much to where you lose the original side of your business. I worked for a restaurant that had a pretty good basic menu, and they specialized in walleye, right? That infamous Walleye Wednesday. And for you Springfieldians, you know what I'm talking about, maybe. I worked in the kitchen. They had 2 fryers, and it was hard. Walleye Wednesday was hard to keep up because the smallness of the kitchen, right? So the owner decided that he would expand the kitchen. He decided to expand the back room by buying the rest of the building, and suddenly he wanted to change the menu. He changed the menu to compete with the Chili's and the TGIFs and the IHOPs, you know. And all of a sudden, our 10-piece root menu was expanded to 30, right? And at the same time, he decided to pay his cooks a lot less money. Paid his wait staff a lot less money. Everybody took a pay cut in one form or another. It may not have been like, hey, you're going to make less. He just stopped giving raises, or he stopped giving overtime, you know, that kind of thing, right? Within the legal limits, mind you. So guess what? Continuity went out the window, service went out the window, and now we're doing a menu that was not sustainable. He adapted in the wrong way. He increased his costs in one aspect and then found a way to decrease them in the wrong aspect. And boom, he went out of business. The guy shot himself in the head one night because he was going bankrupt. The whole time, all of us were saying, you need to try to do this. You need to try to do this. We need to drop these 10 menu items that don't sell. We need to pay the cooks a little bit more. We need to pay the servers more. Because people stopped coming because, number one, continuity. Food was not the same. Recipes were not the same. The cooks that were hired didn't care about the recipes. So food quality went down. And then service went out the window because no one was happy, and so all the normal customers that kept that place afloat for 25 years went out the window. They left. They went to the IHOPs, the TGIFs. Why? Because they can get better food at a better price that they know is consistent. And so sometimes you could try to adapt, but if you do adapt in the wrong way, it will come back and bite you. He forgot the real root of why he started his restaurant, and he didn't know his customer base enough to know that they weren't there for the 25 freaking food items. They were there for walleye. They were there for the beer. They were there for the home atmosphere that it created. Not all this new fandangled, let's try to be the trendy restaurant stuff. People who want TGI Fridays, they will go to TGI Fridays. People that want a home cooked, good quality meal, they came to the restaurant I was at. Springfield Cashew Chicken, right? Highway Surfer, and and there were places that tried to fly by night, and there were places like Highway Surfer. You bring up a good point. Hong Kong Inn, Springfield, Missouri. They've got like 4 restaurants now. They used to only have 1, but I can go to each one of them, and their food is consistently good. And there's continuity there, and that's so the Chinese restaurant starting 4 or 5 restaurants inside a larger city is no different than a carrier like trucking, where we've got under 10 trucks. For TGI Fridays, that's the Schneider, that's the Landstar, and they have their way of doing things, and we have our way of doing things. But in our world, the small carrier makes up the majority of the industry. Mega carriers only make up about 5% of the industry, and the 2 biggest mega carriers have nothing to do with spot market. That's FedEx and UPS. And Amazon will be up there pretty soon. So Facebook can have its advantages and disadvantages. Now, I'm going to shout out some channels. TJ Bowl of the Woods, he did a really good video. Hopefully he didn't do that. About being positive. Let me give some shout outs here. Let me go over my notifications here. Big Rig CEO, he did a really good video. Let me push some people here. Provost Motorsports, he did a really good video about the Russell Truck Stop Car Museum, and check it out. It's really good. It's one of my favorite places to go. If I have the time, I try to stop there every time I go through there, which is not often. But the museum is a car museum, a toy museum, and an oldies antique museum all in one, and it's really cool. Let's see here. There's a couple others here. I've unsubscribed from a lot of people. Big Rig CEO uploaded his video. Schneider lease purchase, The Road to Failure. That is a great video. Big Rich went live yesterday, I guess. Here we go check him out. Guys, you have to look for the positive people. Christian Trucker's a positive channel. Makes sense. S Cargo. Everybody knows, Big Rig Radio Network. Everybody knows a couple of the others I can mention. I want to give the smaller channels a shout out. There we go. TJ Jones, Bull of the Woods. This RVT IE28 drama needs to cease. That's a good video. Did you keep it up, TJ? Are you in here? Yeah, you did. Awesome.
Hey, YouTube, what's going on? It's TJ.
So, yeah, that's cool. And here's the other thing. Don't put so much weight in what we say here on YouTube, really. I mean, think about it. You got people running their business based off the advice they're getting on Facebook. Well, we see how disastrous that is, right? So let's see here. Highway Surfer, no, Jade East has kind of shifted around. I think they closed one. I don't know if they reopened another though. They went downhill pretty quickly. Their continuity went out. Let's see, Charles Anderson. Autonomous trucks are farther off than most think. Look at the radar crap they have now. It's far from ready. Also, unless they have their own roads without humans on them, because humans are unpredictable. I agree there. All right, big girl, little truck. Salter Pirate, what's up? So, anyways, I thought I'd go live. We're gonna keep this short, and I just thought I'd put that out there. Is that you got to have a certain mindset to run a business, and for the first couple of years, I didn't have that mindset, and it almost took me away. It affected my family, it affected my health, and in the end, the first truck I had was worthless, right? Because I did not know how to run a business. Big Rig CEO talks about surrounding yourself with the right people, becoming friends with the right people, not because you want something from them, but you want their knowledge, you want their inspiration, you want their mindset. Nothing Woody says, I read an article recently. One of those ride-sharing companies had sold their investors this plan that they would have driverless vehicles within 5 years. That was 4 years ago, I think. You are correct. Now they're saying another 10 years, and that's small cars. So I think trucks are a ways off, hopefully. The autonomous trucking companies that are out there now, and there's several. There was an article I posted on Facebook, I believe, that was from either FreightWaves or CDL Life. I can't remember. There's still a guy in the truck. And it's kind of like autopilot. The driver has to take over in rain, in snow, in heavy traffic, in mountainous terrains. There's still, a need for a driver in that truck at all times. So at most, you're going to see like what they got on the cars now, where it's like a auto assist, right? And I'll tell you this, I'm looking forward to the day that a lot of companies have auto assist. You know why? Because I'm tired of people coming over in my lane doing stupid stuff because they're looking at their phone. They're watching a YouTube video going down the road. They don't know how to keep their truck in their lane. They don't know how to back in their spot. I was hit last week with a person who thought he knew what he was doing. So I'm looking forward to those days that steering wheel holders are replaced by autonomous trucks. So I don't have one crashing into me because somebody's, watching midget porn going down the road. And so I look forward to that day because they won't take my job away. Why? Because I do my job well. And if the rates get so low that I can't maintain my business, I'll leave if I can't figure it out. That's the reality of it. So good comment there, nothing witty. Thank you, Lucky Seven Mud Mowers. Chris Redward, you're welcome. To do inspections, open, close doors, slide temps, etc. Right. Jonathan Wheeler, you're absolutely right. So, and that, in now a lot of truck technology hits the trucking industry first, like ABS. That was a trucking first thing. Radar systems, that was a trucking first thing. So I think that a lot of the autonomy will be tested better on trucks than on the cars. But you've already had a couple of people die in the Teslas that were using them, the cars, when they weren't supposed to, because it's auto assist. It's like a autopilot for perfect conditions. Now, when was the last time you trucked in perfect conditions, right? Hi, Steve. Caught Big Rig CO earlier. 100% right on info, and props to you, bro. Have a safe, successful week. Ken Lawrence, I've been friends with James for a long time. We went to high school together, but we never really hung out at high school. And he was the one that inspired me to become an owner operator, to start looking into it. And he went one direction, I went the other as far as business. Now he's given me really good business advice, but I finally was able to get him to Schneider, and he loves it over there, and he is thriving. And now he's become the new godfather. He's become the new mentor over at Schneider. And for those of you who are thinking about going over to Schneider as an owner operator, he's the guy to talk to, and if you can't get a hold of him, talk to Steve Berger. Those two are still doing well over there, and they know how to make it work. And and they'll both tell you that it takes a certain amount of work ethic. It takes a certain amount of dedication. It takes a certain amount of running a business. And I give them props because they came into the program after I did, and they're running it better than I did. So that tells me that I need to work on stuff of my own, that I need to work on how I run my business. And it's a constant educating experience. It's a constant reading of the right articles, learning by, there's a lot of stupid stuff that's posted on this thing. But you know what? I read those posts and I like, okay, I don't want to do that. Definitely don't want to be that. Oh, I see what that dude's problem is. Oh, maybe that was what my problem was 2 years ago. That kind of thing. It's a mindset, guys. It's a mindset, and that's the reality of it. If you don't have the right mindset, you're not going to make it. If you watch Shark Tank, right? My family and we watch a lot of Shark Tank. When I'm home, that's all we watch, seems like. And the people that get the deals, the people that progress, are the ones that have a business mindset. When you go up there in front of those guys, you don't have your numbers, you don't have your costs, you don't have your profit margins, you don't have your profit predictions, you don't have a plan. Guess what? They won't look at you. No matter what your product is, they will not look at you. Why? Because passion can't be the only fuel. You got to use that. You could be the best truck driver, the most experienced truck driver. You could drive in any condition. You ran the ice roads in Alaska, and you ran, the dirt routes in Mexico, and you've been to every big city, and you used to go to Hunts Point once every other day, and you could be one of those drivers that can like drive it in, you could blindside in a narrow spot from a busy street. You could be one of those guys. But if you don't have a business mindset, you're not going to make it as an owner operator. And so ego gets in the way of learning. Ego gets in the way of how to figure things out, when you hit a situation like that. And it's a mindset, if you have a passion, I have a passion for trucking. Well, passion is not the only thing you need out here. Passion gets you through the bad times. Passion should teach you to learn from your experiences. Passion should teach you to learn what to do, what not to do, and surround yourself with people with the same passions, whether it be numbers, whether it be how to run a business. Find your passion for trucking should friend those people, and then together you make a team. And that's what it takes to make it out here. I believe in a Tesla, you can only let go of steering wheel for like 30 seconds in autonomous mode before it tells you to get a hold of the wheel. Right. Dude, you're so right. Your head is in the right direction, and you surround yourself with positive people. You can't help but be successful. Right, Ken Lawrence. But, with the mistakes I've made in the past, did I put myself to go out of business with a catastrophic failure? Probably. So, while I'm more than maybe one breakdown away, I'm trying to fix it to where I have a buffer. I do have plans B and C in place. There, if something happened with like trucking, I've got 5 phone numbers that would get me on, and just like that, and that's because of the positive energy I try to put out. That's because I'm willing to learn, and I don't come in with a know-it-all attitude, and I've surrounded myself with good people, right? And I have the knowledge and background that I wanted to get my own authority. I know a lot of people that would help me every step of the way. Right now I don't have the passion to get my own authority just yet. So, and people would tell me I'm wrong. People tell me, hey, you can, it's easy. And I'm like, no, I'm still trying to master this owner operator. I'm still learning. I'm 5 years into this, guys. I'm 5 years into my second truck. And I feel like I'm still learning, to the point that I don't have enough confidence to go out and buy a new truck right now. I just don't. Not with the way the market feels like, not with what I'm seeing, what's coming down the pipe in the future. And, but later on, the truck might force my hand. That's what the Peterbilt did. Peterbilt said, hey, guess what? You're paying more for me than you would a new truck. The trick is getting that new truck to a lower payment to keep the cost down. That's the trick. And that's part of running a business. And I am not there yet. If I can get a new truck tomorrow and keep my payments at $2,000 a month, I'm sold. I'll do it. But right now, no. I've got a lot to learn. And you can't learn if the government's just going to hand you the minimum rate. You're not going to learn if the government's going to control every aspect of your life. There I go saying, I know again all the time. I'm fired up. I can't help. But that article just kind of like irritated me. Now, a lot of people say, well, Steve, if you try to be positive, why do you read those articles? I don't read every single thing. I see the notifications. If I see something that catches my eye, there might be some good information. Anytime Shane Ferris comments on something, I look to see what he commented on, because he's got a lot of good knowledge, but I know a lot of people like watch those pages quietly. They don't ever participate. I very rarely add a comment or two. So my battery is about to die. So Trucker Stable, are you driving a brand new truck? My truck's not $2,000 a month. My Peterbilt was, but that's because it was a 3-year note with no money down, or it was only like $2,000 down. So, anyways, that's the trick of buying a new truck, is have the money down, so your payments, you're not financing 6 years at $3,000 a month. So, anyways, my battery's about to die. It's time for me to get to work. Thanks for watching. We're at an hour, anyways. If you like the content, click like and all that stuff. If you hate it, thumbs down. And most socialists will hate it, so they'll give me a thumbs down, right? So anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Be safe, and look for me on Zello. We'll be there. #that's trucking. All right, guys. See you.